Welcome to Senior Aspects with your host, Ann Severs. Each week, Ann will talk about the issues that affect the 50 and older community. So grab a cocktail and hang out with Ann. After all, the kids aren't around anymore to spoil the fun.
Hello and welcome to Senior Aspects. I am Ann Severs and my guest today is Sid Saldahna.
Yes, that's right, Ann.
Perfect. Sid is in the fashion industry. Sid, tell me a little bit about yourself, about your family, where you grew up, things like that, and then we'll really get into the meat of what I want to talk about today.
Sure, definitely, Ann. This is a great opportunity for me to share some of my personal situations with all the listeners, and on top of that, give you a little background of where I came from and what am I doing in the middle of the desert here. So
where it's all brown and very hot.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, and yes, plus on the hot.
Yes.
I came from Canada. I've lived in Canada for over 30 years. Canada is a great country. It's treated our family extremely well. And then, of course, being or wanting to be in the throes of where business really happens, I emigrated to the U.S. And, of course, now I have met my lovely wife, who's somewhat younger than myself. And to add to that, probably about 6 months ago, we had our little daughter.
She's so cute.
So lots is happening in my life, and I'm so grateful that I have so many great friends and family all around me to support our ventures and our likes and how we go forward in this lovely life that God has given us.
So, Sid, let's talk a little bit about Las Vegas.
Yes.
In general.
Yes.
Because how long have you been in Las Vegas?
15 years now.
Oh, 15 years. So yes. I've been here 20. It'd be 20 or 21, I forget, this October. I think it's 20. Vegas is tough on people. It is tough. We have to go through
yes.
A lot of aches and pains. And what I mean by that is just like getting burned by other people.
Sure.
And so as we go forward, I'm much more careful now.
Yes.
And now it seems like I'm really connected to a really great group of friends. I just met my great new friend Sid and his lovely family.
Thank
you.
It's
a lot to pick up and leave.
Yes, it is.
So you left Canada 15 years ago and moved to Vegas.
That's correct. Moved to Vegas, settled in here, and once I moved here, I asked myself the question, why did I move? Canada was a great country and had all the greenery and natural resources, and I really thrive in that environment. And not to be able to take my shoes off and walk through fresh grass, that really played a number on me for a couple of years. And then I started getting used to the atmosphere, and of course, just like yourself, Ann, I was able to meet up with some exceptional people, join a few reliable groups, and stay out of trouble.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Now, Sid, I'm going to ask you a little bit of a personal question. Is that okay?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so Sid and I were kind of talking off camera the other day and just laughing about a couple topics, but may I ask your age, Sid?
I'm 59 years old.
Sid is 59. I am 52. And, let's go to our children. Let's talk about that for a little bit. So I have two children, 28 and 14. He's 14. I thought he was 13, but he's 14. So it's a big gap with having those children. And I trained myself, because when I raised my daughter, I was there all the time, did all the sports, did everything with her. Where with my son, it's not so much that way. Right. And I first would tell people, I just don't really want to do that anymore. But I have to retrain my thoughts on that, because that's not fair to my son, Elijah. And but he's such a different child, the boy and the girl. That's a whole nother topic. But having that big gap with children it's a big gap.
Sure.
And it's quite an adjustment. So tell us about, I know that you have one older one and one very small one.
I have a son, very proud of him, and as we should always be of our children and all their efforts. He also lives here in Las Vegas.
Oh, does he?
And he's married, and he went through law school here at Boyd. He graduated with with very good grades, and now he's completed the bar here in Nevada.
Yay, that's awesome.
And he's practicing corporate law, and his wife is with the public defender's office with the state of Nevada. So he's 29, and I had to ask myself, do I want to have children again? Do I want to do this all over again? And absolutely. After seeing the results of my wife's and my little creation, our little Stella, she puts a smile on my face every single morning.
Aww.
And I appreciate every single breath that I take and every day that I'm alive.
Good for you. So how does your son feel about little Stella?
He initially had to ask the same question of, at your age, Dad, why are you doing this?
My daughter was devastated when I told her.
Yes, and I told him, I said, you know, to bring a life into this world and care for that life and put them on track is a great accomplishment for any parent.
Yes.
And it doesn't come without its challenges and heartbreaks and joys. But I think now that we're starting to stabilize, my son is recognizing that he has a little sister. All of us are a joyous family. We get together on every Sunday night and make sure we break bread together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it took Holly a long time to adjust as well.
Yes.
It's just, you know, when I first had him, Holly was 15, and it was, we would go to the grocery store, and I already knew they thought that this was Holly's child. And so that this kind of stuff you just got to like put outside of your head.
Yes,
and, you know, because I had I was in college.
Sure.
When I didn't go to college till way later in life.
Yes.
And I got my bachelor's at 38. Then got pregnant with Eli, and then I had him at, I believe I had him when I was 39. I don't think I was quite 40 yet.
Okay.
And I had him then, and it was a big change. And being pregnant that far apart is like almost like having your first pregnancy.
Yes.
It was as long, it was, you know, it was easy. Both of them were pretty easy.
Sure.
But it's a big difference. And now I have grandchildren.
Yes.
Do you have any grandchildren yet?
No grandchildren yet.
So my grandchildren have a less gap with my son than my daughter and my son.
That's an interesting
which
dynamic.
as will you.
Right.
You know?
Correct.
So it's interesting. So how long were you married the first time?
Married for quite a few years, for 8 years with my son. Then I took a break in between. And of course now, after meeting my young wife, that also was a big question.
I'm sure.
Because you have to ask yourself, why am I marrying again, and why do I have such a young wife? We're deeply in love with each other. We care for each other, and it's more a sense of taking on that responsibility to say, let's do this correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it again, every day is not the perfect day. Some days go with having to guess what our partners are doing in life. But we talk through everything. We don't argue, we talk.
We do too. I think that's a good thing. My husband and I have a habit anymore to where he comes home from work and we sit down every day and discuss what is going on with our days.
Sure.
He's very involved with my business, which is, he gives the best advice and the best ideas.
Right.
You know, and it's funny, you know, because, so when I first got married to James, we have a pretty good marriage. We're very happy. But there was a point in time where I went through self-growth.
Yes.
And he wasn't. And that caused problems.
Sure.
And there comes a time where you plateau and it's either you got to keep on rising, or you have to not be together anymore, because if you're not growing together, then you're going to have a point to where you're going to just do this. I'll give you an example. When I first started dreaming bigger, say, with a bigger home, bigger car, and he would say, I don't understand why you think we need a bigger home.
Right.
And I said, well, and I was so puzzled by that. And I was like, well, what's wrong with me wanting something more?
Sure.
And it's not that I was being greedy or selfish. It was just, you know, you like to think, you want to be able to do things better. Like, I would never buy a house or a car and put myself in massive debt.
Right.
But that's where James and I balance each other out, because he's very conservative. He's we are doing very well because of the things he's put in place over the years. And I didn't agree with everything, at first, because he's into crypto, and I thought he was crazy. And now, full circle, I'm the one that's crazy because I'm the one buying the crypto all the time. But the point in me saying that, to come full circle to that, is now he understands about self-growth.
Yes.
He's been reading some of the same things, and I've seen him completely change the way he thinks. And we took a trip this past year. When did we go? When in May. And I went to my husband and I said, hey, I want to go to Mexico.
Yes.
Let's book a trip. And my husband, he was not a fan.
Mm-hmm.
He was, I don't want to do it. I don't want to spend the money. And I said, no, we need to take a trip, just us. And you know what? The money is just money. To me, it's nickels and dimes. They go in and go out. And if you put the money blocker up, you're not going to get your nickels and dimes. It's just going to stop.
Correct.
So I said, no, this is what we're going to do. So I said, so at first I booked the trip, and I could tell right away that he was rocked to the core. And then he started coming around, and 2 weeks after we booked the trip,
yes,
my husband's sister at 51 died in her sleep. And I knew, me too, thank you. And we went to buy the plane tickets to go to be with my mother-in-law, and we had spent a lot of money on those planes. It was like $1,300 to fly. It was expensive. And I looked at James. He was sitting down next to me, and I said, hey, by the way, we are not canceling our trip. And he goes, I never had any intentions of canceling it. And it was one of the best trips we've ever taken.
That's amazing.
So that, it's sometimes when your spouse maybe is, a little, he stepped out of his comfort zone. And I respect that, and I know that now. So I think that we all have to be a little bit wary of our spouse's comfort zone.
Well, also, and it's very important for a couple, I think, that both express their needs and requirements in the relationship, and that it does not succumb to one of the parties always saying yes to the other party.
That's no fun.
Because really, we've been given this beautiful life to live in this short window, and we have so much to accomplish in that time frame. Or at least we hope we accomplish it all. But if one was to live just by saying yes, yes, and where do we go, and what do we do, and they cannot make decisions for themselves or express what their needs are, then really you're living somebody else's life. You're not living your own.
And that would drive me crazy.
Sure.
I think one of the things that attracts me to my husband more than anything is his, if he does not believe in it, he's not going to do it, and there's no way you're going to change his mind.
Yes.
And I love that about him.
Yes.
I love that we go through marriage relationships. It doesn't have to be marriage. And you get like a little stagnant, I guess, just like kind of like comfortable.
Yes.
Let's put it that way. But I have to give it to my husband because he's always the one that makes that extra effort or that extra step. And that, to me, is probably one of the reasons why I love him the most, is because of that.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you about sex.
Sure.
Let's talk about sex.
Absolutely.
So, we all going through the time, and I realize more and more that it is very important to men about sex. And I didn't really understand it for a while.
Yes.
Until I read an article about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I read the article, and it is a way, and you can maybe shed some light on this. Men, it is a way that they express their love. It's like something they need to express their love. It makes them feel wanted.
Sure. More
than I think what women we get. Well, and I'm 52, so I'm menopausal. I got all this stuff going on.
Yes.
No offense to him, but it's adjustment.
Yes.
He's learning now that it's. I'm not like joking. I mean, it's a serious issue, and I realize more and more how important it is.
Yes.
And when I was in Cancun, I met this amazing couple, and they were married over 40 years.
Yes.
And her and I were just sitting on a swing. I don't know what it was, but we just opened up and poured our hearts out to everybody. She was like 70.
Yes.
And I said, how important is sex in your marriage? And
right.
She said, it is very important.
Very important. And we always have the biological need for sexual fulfillment for our own selves. That's very, very important because it's almost like this little clock that ticks within you, and you go, okay, it's been a few days. And
tick, tick, tick.
and then if it goes beyond, say, 3-4 days, and I know everybody's different, I'm just relaying my own situation, then you start to wonder, is there something wrong in my situation? Is there something wrong with my partner? What are they thinking about? What do they need? And I think that's where love comes in, because when you love somebody, you start to understand that regardless of the situation, you're there to fulfill the other party's needs and requirements within reason, and making sure that somehow or another you come to on the same plateau for happiness.
Yeah.
And if that means that you have to provide sexual relations with your partner, and maybe you're not into it that moment, then so be it. And that goes for the guy, and that goes for the girl, or for any other party as well. We always have to be there for our partner, and we have to read through the life's challenges to be able to realize maybe our partner is going through a little bit of stress in their life. Maybe they're having more challenges than I am, and be cognizant of that. Vitally important to read your partner, and it's not about saying, okay, well, I cannot provide that for you, so please look on the internet and find it for yourself. Okay?
Right.
That's the number one way to alienate yourself from your partner. And your answers are within your own household. Your answers are within the person that you have decided to be with. Okay?
Right.
So do something about it. We were made to be with a partner. Okay? And we have to say, okay, this is what my partner needs today, and it doesn't have to be at that very juncture, but through that day, find time to say, hey, listen, let's have a nice dinner together. Let's make a romantic situation. Let's talk about what's going through your mind. Are you having problems in your workforce? Because guys are notorious for not talking.
They are, I like that we were saying about being cognizant of the other person. I've been trying to do that more and more.
Yes.
Because I work from home.
Yes.
So sometimes my husband would roll in the door, and you know how it is when you work from home. Oh, you don't really have a job. Okay. So I can babysit anytime anybody needs me to. Not. Anyway, it's, so I had to have a conversation with him.
Yes.
Because he would roll in the door and think, oh, I need her time, I need this, I need that. But I just got off the phone with a client, just say that wasn't very happy or whatever the case may be. And I'll tell him I need a minute. And then we'll sit down and talk about it.
Sure.
And the other thing with us, in our relationship, is we both like our alone time.
Yes.
And that is crucial. And James is very respectful of that. He probably needs it more than I do. I've started to need it more and more, I've noticed in life. But it's funny because his time is like 3 to 5 a.m.
Okay.
Because he gets up early.
Yes.
And he's very involved in financials and economics.
Yes.
So from 3 to 5 every day,
amazing.
He is reading, watching videos, doing this. Yeah, and he does not miss a beat. Even when we went to Cancun, I lay on the beach and I put my phone up, and there he was.
Yes.
Listening to the financial report for the day, which I'm very grateful for that. But it's but in the evening time around 7-ish, like I like my time to be alone because he goes to bed early, a little bit earlier.
Sure.
But on the weekends, more and more, I have no more Sundays for me.
Yes.
I've had people just ask me really recently Sundays that I'm like, no. James and I agreed a long time ago because I was working 7 days a week.
Sure.
And we agreed a long time ago. No more Sundays.
Okay.
And that's our day just to relax, barbecue.
Yes.
Watch Netflix or do whatever the case may be.
Right, correct.
So, and then I was telling Sid too, another thing about your partner is, I've learned about James too, is I've really learned his body language too. Like the way his face, like he has like 4 faces.
Yes.
And when I see one of the 4, I know it's either politics, economics, family, or just he's trying to get over a money barrier, but he's doing so much better. He's doing so much better with that. And I think that you have to take a cue.
Yes.
And we were talking about cooking, and I learned about, I'd say a year ago, my husband was cooking pulled pork.
Okay.
So I went in there and like put in a bunch of barbecue sauce in there, and
Okay.
he was pissed.
Okay.
So mad at me. And I was like, what is the big deal? But what I realized is it wasn't the sauce. It was his thing, and he was doing it. So now I've learned I don't go in there. And
Sure.
just the other day I was in the kitchen doing something, and he tried to tell me something, and I looked at him with the spatula. And I'm like, stop.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I said, I don't bother you. You don't bother me.
Yeah, you
so
do
now,
timeshare on the kitchen.
Time sharing. And we both love to cook. And we're both really good at it.
Excellent.
But there's I think you have to be aware of your partner and be a little bit more mindful of, oh, maybe you had a bad day. What can I do to help him out?
Sure.
You know, and I'm sure you do the same thing with your wife. If you know you have a bad day, you kind of step it up a little bit to, make them feel better, make them feel loved, so that, because you want her to do the same thing with you.
And it's so important to have compliments, like everything may not be a perfect world that you live in at home, but you know what? It never hurts to say an encouraging word to your partner at the time you wake up in the morning or in the afternoon, giving them a phone call. If you're at your job away from home, call them. Find out how their day is going.
Yeah.
James
called me 3 times yesterday.
That's beautiful.
I'm like, yeah? Like, I just was on my way to blah, blah, blah. I thought I'd see what's going on. So, but I love it. I wouldn't trade anything.
And another really important point is that if you are younger, I can't say, like a little older, I'm 59 and I've sort of gotten over it, but when you're younger as a guy, you have this mistrusting or you have this doubt about your partner. And you think always in the back of your mind, are they with somebody else? Are they thinking about somebody else? And you always seem to have this guard up. I would tell most guys, I would say, drop that guard. Because it's hurting your relationship and it's hindering your advancing of your relationship.
Well, I think that is a sign of insecurity.
Right, correct.
And
absolutely.
that is, my ex-husband, for example, was like that all the time.
Sure.
And I'm sure a lot of women can relate. It drives you crazy.
Yeah, it does.
Because believe me, we do not have time. When we're raising the babies, we're doing, and when we go out, the last thing we want is some guy to walk up to us. We just are there to have a couple drinks with our friends and laugh.
That's right.
And without the creepy guys.
Yep.
So so they got to let that go.
Right.
Too. And that's probably really good advice. And I think when somebody is jealous and insecure, that's when they really got to take a really hard look at themselves.
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
And reflect.
So, work with your partner, talk openly with your partner, and start to realize, what does it take to trust your partner? Whether it's with the bank accounts, whether it is with the going out and having other people look at your partner in amorous ways, maybe you can talk about that and say, listen, tonight, there's so many people who are looking at you, and when your partner reassures you that their love is only for you, then you have nothing to worry about. Don't stress yourself so much.
I know I have nothing to worry about when it comes to that. I have never caught my husband looking at another. Never. And I know people may laugh at that, but I didn't even know this was a thing, by the way. James and I took a trip to Missouri one time. And we were there with our son, and we were swimming in a pool at the hotel pool. And then we went to the bar and had a couple cocktails, and this girl says to me, hey, I just want you to know that your husband never looked at me one time. And I was like, wow. I did not even know. So there is women out there who purposely walk in front of your husband to see if they're looking at them. And I never knew there was such a thing. So when she said that to me, it really threw me back. Take it, I was in Farmington, Missouri at the time. Right. They might do things a little differently there. But, which I love Farmington. That's where I graduated high school. Okay. But I just never knew
that existed.
No.
Yes. No. There's a whole subculture that lives out there, and there's enough temptation or at least thought of temptation that they will put into our relationships which is the wrong thought process.
The grass isn't always greener.
It's not always greener. Everything comes with its problems.
Its price.
And you have the best thing next to you right now. So realize that. Take inventory for all that you have in your life at the moment, and start to better it.
You know, that's gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
I think gratitude, and, you know, maybe do that if you're going through one of those times. Maybe think about what you have.
Yes.
That's a big mind switch. I was in church one time, and the priest, during his homily, was talking about Jewish religion, and it was Jewish religion, and I forget what the other one was at the time. And he said the difference between the Jewish religion and Catholic,
yes,
is that the Jewish people, when they pray for gratefulness.
Yes.
They thank God.
Yes.
They don't ask God for anything. And
So
I'm going to
true.
tell you, that's a very different form of praying.
Yes.
And I still, to this day, try to pray that way, because it's really hard to do.
Sure. Because when we pray, or we have faith in our life, and we are told to talk to God, okay? Mm-hmm. First off, that when I was very young, that was an alien concept. You would be taught, okay, pray to God. How do you pray? You know, that's something you'll have to work out on your own, because depending on your faith, maybe you have an elder of some sort who's telling you how to pray. Mm-hmm. Okay, but the reality is, God's there. God's listening all the time. Okay?
I believe that.
And stop creating wish lists. Our life is not about wish lists. It's about putting Him first, and then realizing that, okay, He has a set of rules. Follow those rules. Life will get better for you.
Oh, I agree with that. And the rules are very simple.
Yes, they are very simple.
Yeah, be kind.
Yeah.
You know, respect each other.
Yes.
You know, and your God, or however it's just all about the spiritual aspect with me.
Sure.
It's just you got to have faith in something. At least I hope so. Because I think you'd be a lot more happier.
And I'll tell you, if you do not have faith or believe in God, when times get tough, and they will, for all of us, there isn't a single human being that will be exempt from what I'm talking about.
No.
Okay? Times will get tough to different levels for everybody, but you will have nobody to talk to. And if you leave this earth with no faith in your soul, you will die a miserable, lonely death.
You know, it's such a cliche. You know, everybody talks about it. It is kind of a cliche.
Yes.
Because and the reason why I'm saying that is I interviewed a gentleman named Michael Leonetti a couple weeks ago. And Michael was facing a 20-year prison sentence for something he didn't do.
Yes.
Served 12 years. Mm. And if it wasn't for... And he went to church all the time when he was a kid.
Sure.
He went with his grandparents. But he never really sat down and read the Bible.
Right. And
thought everybody else was crazy.
Yes.
And then he was in prison, I believe, a couple years before he decided... it was a... I don't know if he read the Bible before this incident. I think it was... I don't think it was before that. I think it was after it. One of the not... What do you... parish... The... clergy, we'll just call him the clergy. The clergy in the prison had went up to him and asked him to write plays from Bible verses. Mm-hmm. And he thought he was crazy. And now he's written 60 different plays.
Isn't that amazing?
And what he took away from that changed his life completely. Mm-hmm. And to this day, he says God was reason why that I am here and I'm doing he goes, I know because I did God's work.
Yes.
I believed in God, and now he runs a very successful business. He didn't even get out of prison until he was 59 years old.
Okay.
And now he has one of the best restaurants. It's always packed here in Las Vegas.
That is fantastic.
Way up there, too. It's way out there. So people are flocking in from all over to go to this guy's amazing restaurant. Yeah. So it goes to show that if you believe, you can achieve.
Sure, yes. And, to add to that, I'm sure everybody has this list of what you want to get accomplished in life, and you think only by doing the hard work you're going to achieve that. That's not all to the equation, because really it has everything to do with, first off, all the rules that God has asked us to live by, And of course, I did not want to make this a religious show.
Me neither.
Yeah, but I will comment on it because my faith is strong. And really, that's the foundation that I live my life, because I just believe. That's why God said, rest on the seventh day. Why? And I thought about that only this last weekend when I was praying on Sunday, and I realized, why does God want me to rest on the seventh day? It is first off because he said, that's just the world. The world is created that 6 days you work, seventh day you rest. Okay? Did you know that in the Jewish faith, okay, they are also told to rest, and to the point which they are not even allowed to use an elevator button.
Wow.
Because that's work. Okay? And I thought, why would he want me to rest? Or why does God want me to rest? Okay? And I think I came up with the answer for myself, is because if I did work, I would be somehow or another sinning or cursing God. Okay? Because if I did something and it didn't work my way on that seventh day, trust me, I would be using God's name in vain.
You know, being from a small town in Missouri, yes, everything was closed on Sundays.
Yes, correct.
You know, and that was primarily Baptist.
Yes, correct.
Yep. So it was another one, and I kind of miss that sometimes.
Sure, definitely.
I kind of miss having to scramble around, know where to get alcohol, because I want to have a cocktail on a Sunday. Like, remember, guys, go on Saturday by like 9 o'clock.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, it forces you to slow down. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because we live in Vegas.
Yes.
And it's a constant go, 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 go.
It is.
So maybe Sunday's probably even more crucial to us, because he's just saying you got to slow down sometimes. I have really learned to slow down in life.
Yes.
I have learned to slow it down, slow my roll, do not get mad at traffic lights. I don't do it anymore. It does not serve me well.
No. And you know, you have to regulate your life with some kind of scheduling. Start to put some order into all that you do, and you'll start to reap the rewards. And it doesn't come instantly. So back to my point that you may have a targeted idea that you want to implement in this life, and you've worked so hard to achieve it, and all of a sudden one day you lose it. You don't have it anymore. It's taken away from you. Okay? And we wonder, why did God do that to us? Why was it taken away? It's because God wants you to learn a lesson. Okay? He'll never put you in a straight path from beginning to point 10 in a straight line. He will lead you in zigzags, forward, backwards, sideways, and at the end of the day, after you've learned all of life's lessons, then hopefully you can achieve goals that are monumentally bigger than when you first started.
Absolutely. Plus, you learn a lot on the way.
Sure.
You learn a ton.
You really do.
Especially when you live in Las Vegas, you learn a lot.
Oh, very quickly.
You learn it very quickly. Well, Sid, I want to thank you for coming on today. I would like for us to do another show coming up and talk more about the fashion.
Of course.
Because I love fashion.
Of course.
And I would love to learn more about that. But Sid is just like a fantastic. He's like one of my new really good friends that I met a couple of weeks ago, and we just started laughing the other day, and I was like, I should interview you.
Yeah, definitely.
So I wanted to touch, the big point about the kids and marriage.
Yes.
And it's nice to be able to talk to a man sometimes about different things, and for them to be open with us. We want to thank our guest, Sid, today for joining us. We want to thank you as well. Yeah. To learn more about this show, please visit our website at senioraspects.com or at allaspectsradio.com. So until next week, this is your host, Ann Severs, reminding you to stay young. Your best years are ahead of you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Senior Aspects, where each week we talk about the issues that affect our world. For more information about this show, please go to senioraspects.com or allaspectsradionetwork.com. Thank you and have a fabulous senior week.